Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well by God's grace. Today we are going to start with your next chapter, which is Sermon at Banaras. Now, this is a story about Siddhartha Gautama, also known as Gautama Buddha. In this story, we will come to know a little about his life and how his life transformed. When he was 12 years old, he was a prince, so he was sent to a Gurukul where he was taught everything about the Hindu scriptures and how to be a king. So when he returned after 4 years, he was married off to a princess and he lived a very royal life for 10 years. They also had a son, and for 10 years they lived like a royal family should live. But then what happened? One day at the age of 25, he went out for hunting. Now, till the age of 25, Siddhartha was protected from any kind of sad plight or anything bad which would evoke sadness in him, because it is said that when he was born, his father was told about a prediction that if he comes across any such thing, he will not stay a royalty, he will leave everything, he will leave his kingdom. So his father didn't want that to happen. So what he did, he made sure that Siddhartha never came across anything sad or anything bad. He always protected him within the palace gates. But one day, by chance, Siddhartha went out for hunting alone, and that day he came across many sad sights. The first sight that he came across was a sick man. Then he came across a very old man. Next, he came across a funeral procession. Funeral procession when someone dies and we carry them. And at last, he saw a monk begging for alms. Alms means bhik mangna. Now, all these were sad sights, so he was immediately affected by all this. He became so sad, he saw sadness for the first time, and then what he did, he thought, if so many people are facing so many difficulties, I am not supposed to live a royal life. He left everything. He left his palace, his house. He renounced everything and he went out to find the answer of one big question which was bothering him, that how can one put end to suffering? He meditated a lot. He led the life of a sadhu and he practiced so many different yogic meditations to the extent of starving himself to death, but he did not get the answer. It was not easy. Then he wandered for 7 years. It took him 7 years, and finally one day he decided to sit down under a tree, and he took a vow. Vow means kasam khana, that he will not get up until and unless he doesn't get the answer to his question. And so he sat down under the tree and he meditated and meditated till he got the answer. So the tree under which he was sitting was a fig tree. He renamed the tree as the Bo tree. B-O, Bo. Bo meaning Bodhi tree. जहाँ पे उसको बुद्धि मिली. He got the wisdom, the tree of wisdom. And Siddhartha Gautama now started being known as Gautama Buddha or the Buddha, which means the enlightened one. He started preaching, going out and preaching to the people, because he wanted to share this knowledge of his with other people, to tell them how they can put an end to their sufferings. So when he started preaching, the first sermon that he gave, sermon means your pravachan, a spiritual teaching which is given by spiritual people. So he imparted his first sermon in Banaras, hence the name of the chapter, Sermon at Banaras. And that first sermon which he gave has been preserved and is written as a story over here. So this story tells us about Buddha's wisdom, and the sermon is based on an inscrutable suffering which is known as death. Now, the sermon he gave is a story about Kisa Gotmi, a woman who had one and only son, and her son died. She, being the mother, was not able to accept the fact that my son is no more. So what she did, she was so overcome with suffering, वो इतनी दुखी हो गई कि she was not accepting that my son is dead. She carried her son and started going from one person to another looking for a doctor or a medicine to cure her son. But like we know, a dead person cannot be cured. बीमार को ठीक कर सकते हैं, मरे हुए को ठीक नहीं कर सकते. Now she was in her grief. वो इतना दुखी थी that she was not able to accept the fact that my child is no more, and the people started saying that she has lost her mind. ये पागल हो गई है. She is carrying her dead son and looking for a cure for a dead person. So finally she came across a wise man who told her that I cannot give you any medicine, but I can send you to someone, to a physician who can give you some medicine to cure your son. So obviously she became very happy. She was like, I pray, please tell me where can I get the medicine. So he told, go to Salyamani Buddha. She came to Buddha and she asked for some medicine to cure her son. Buddha didn't say no. He didn't say that you have lost your senses or your child is dead. He told her, okay, I will give you the medicine, but for that you will have to complete a task. You will have to go to some house and get me mustard seeds. Now getting mustard seeds is very easy. Mustard seed is your sarson ka dana. Now what was the twist over here? Buddha said, but you cannot get it from any house. It has to be brought from a house where there has been no death. The family has not lost any member. She was like, okay, I will go and get. And she went. But as you know, it is not possible to get anything from a house where no death has happened. If we consider our own houses, our grandparents, our relatives, someone or the other has died, because we have been living for so many years. Our families, our forefathers die and we are living. So this is not possible that any family as such exists that where one member or the other has not died. But she went to so many houses and she used to ask for the mustard seeds. The people used to get her mustard seeds, but then when she used to ask them if anyone had died at their place, almost everyone would respond to her saying the same line, that alas, please don't remind us of our deepest grief, because losing a loved one is not easy. It is the biggest grief you can come across, biggest sad part of your life. So they used to tell us, please don't remind us about the people we have lost. The living are few, but the dead are many. This is the line they used, which, if you think about it, is quite true. At present, the number of people living on this earth are very few compared to all the people who have actually died through the years. So she could not find any house where someone had not died, and she could not fulfill her task of getting the mustard seeds, which seemed to be quite easy to her in the beginning. She, being a mother, tried her best to procure the mustard seeds from some place at least. She tried her best, but finally she was weary and hopeless. Weary means very tired, and hopeless, you all know. She sat on the wayside, and from there she could see the entire city or the village in front of her. And like we know, if you go to some high place, कभी पे भी जाओगे तो आपको पूरा जम्मू दिखाई देता है, इन द सेंस दैट रात में आपको लाइट्स दिखेंगी, नॉट एज इन कंप्लीट जम्मू. सो she also saw the same view. She could see so many lights. This is an old story, so the lights were lamp lights. So kabhi the lights were flickering and she kept sitting over there, and finally a time came when most of the lights were off and there was darkness everywhere. So then she realized, then one thing came to her mind, that oh my god, I've been so selfish in my own grief that I could not realize the simple thing that death is common to all. The life of a man is like a flickering candle, which means it can get extinguished anytime, any moment. It flickers. So finally she could relate this, and she understood that death is a common thing. It happens to everyone. So she finally realized this, and now when she went to Buddha with this understanding, this was the time when he explained to her about death and her grief. He didn't try to convince her before when she was not ready to understand, when she was very sad about her son. Finally, when she understood on her own, then Buddha explained to her about the reality or the truth of death. So Buddha used this sermon to teach the people about the reality of life, which is death. It is inevitable. Inevitable is something which cannot be avoided. No one can avoid it. He explained to them saying that the life of man is very brief and full of many kind of sufferings. There is no way for a person who has been born to avoid death. If you are born, you have to die one day or the other. If not in few years, then after many years. But when a person is born, after old age, death. This is the way of the living beings. This is the way living beings are created. Then he gave the example of ripe fruits. Ripe fruit ho gaya paka hua phal. Like a ripe fruit is always in the risk of falling down. Same is the case with human being. The moment a person is born, anytime he can die. Be it a small child, a young person, an old person, anyone. So we see that age is not a factor. A moment a person is born, from that time onwards, his clock starts ticking. He can die any time that the Lord decides to call him. He also gave another example of a earthen vessel. Earthen vessel हो गया आपके मिट्टी का बर्तन या मटका. So he says, ऐसा तो नहीं है ना कि यह मिट्टी का बर्तन can stay intact forever. No, at some point or the other it will break. Sometimes it happens on the potter's wheel. बनाते ही टूट जाएगा. Sometimes it may take a longer time, but like it is in the risk of breaking, same is the case of a human being. He is also, or she is also, always under the risk of dying. So this is the example he is giving about the life of mortals. He says there is no partiality, or there is no distinction. A wise or a fool will die. A young person or an adult. Any person and every person born in this world is subject to death. Then he also says that if one person has to die, cannot be saved. A father cannot save his son. ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते कि इसकी जगह मुझे ले लो. We know when we are sad, we make such statements, but that is not possible. And he says even when we are lamenting for someone, जब हम किसी मरे हुए के लिए अफसोस कर रहे हैं, उस कमरे में जितने भी लोग होंगे, whoever is sitting there crying for someone else will be the next person, any one of them. So each person in that room will also eventually die, and no one, not your relative, not your father, not your brother, no one can save anyone else from the power of death. So he says that a wise person, knowing that this is the way of life, this is the truth of life, does not grieve. अफसोस नहीं करता है. He will feel sad, he will cry, but he will not be bound to grieve, because he knows that this is the way of life. So he is teaching people that if you come across death, you are not supposed to leave everything, complain to God, lament. You are supposed to accept it as the truth of life. Because even if you grieve, or even if you lament a lot, you can go on grieving for years, but that will not bring back your loved one. Nor will you obtain the peace of mind. In fact, crying will trouble other people of your family, and that is not the answer. There is no point, because that will not change anything. Crying and lamenting and grieving will only make the person sick and pale, because जिसको जाना था वो तो चला गया है, right? So खुद ही परेशानी होगी. Other than that, nothing will change. So one who wants peace should take out the arrow of lamentation. He should come to terms with the death, know that this is God's will. So in order to obtain peace of mind, what one has to do, he has to stop complaining and stop lamenting. अफसोस करना भी बंद करना है और complain against God. ऐसा क्यों किया, मेरे साथ क्यों किया, मेरे साथ ही क्यों किया, because that is not the case. सबके साथ होता है, like we have come to know from this sermon. That is the way of life. So one person should stop lamenting, the person should stop complaining, and should accept it as the truth. And only through this way, a person who has encountered death of a near or dear one can obtain peace of mind. Only once a person has become composed, अपने आप को संभाल लिया है, and accepted this reality, and has overcome all the sorrows, then only he will be free from the sorrows he is facing and be blessed. So the only way to obtain peace is to overcome sorrow, and one who has overcome all sorrow can obtain peace of mind and be blessed. There are many important questions in this chapter, like about Kisa Gautami, that why didn't she understand the first time when she went to Gautama Buddha, and why she understood it only the second time. It is because the first time she was grieving. She would not have understood even if he would have made her understand. The second time she came to understand only because she learned it herself. She came to know that she tried and she could not find the mustard seeds, and she realized that every person has encountered the death of a loved one. Now, there's another question about selfishness of Kisa Gautami. That is also important from your examination point of view. The most important question in this is your sermon and lecture, that what is the difference between them. Now, sermon is something which a religious priest gives you. It is your pravachan. Lecture is anything related to education. It can be given by a teacher, a professor, or what is given to you in school or university or in a class. This is entirely different from a sermon, which is for your spiritual upliftment, and your lecture is for your knowledge. So, sermon is given on a spiritual topic from a spiritual book or by a spiritual leader, and your lecture is on any general topic. There are also some additional questions related to Gautama Buddha. One being how he attained his enlightenment, which is already mentioned in the beginning of this video. Next is about his life before enlightenment, about the royal life which he led. So that is your second additional question. And then comes the third additional question, which is if the teaching of Buddha still holds meaning after generations, after years. 2500 years it has been said, but it has been many more years. So the answer for that is yes, it does hold meaning, because his teaching is evergreen, in the sense that people have not stopped dying, people still die, and we still grieve for the people who die. So this teaching in a way teaches us how to tackle this suffering. It is by accepting the reality, and we have to just carry forward with our responsibilities and leave everything to God. We are not supposed to call God unjust, because God is not unjust. And we have to make sure to support other people who have undergone this deep sorrow, help them to come out of this instead of sitting and grieving ourselves, because this is the only way we can live happily and selflessly. If we hold on to this and keep crying and keep lamenting, it means that we are being selfish, like Kisa Gautami was. Why did she call herself selfish in her grief? Because she failed to realize that it was not just her who had faced the death of a loved one. Every person we come across has faced the same thing. So she was selfish on her part when she made other people remember their loved ones, and in order to fulfill her own task, to get back her own son, she made all of them upset and sad by being reminded of their loved ones. So we don't have to be selfish. We don't have to think that it is just us who has come across such a big sorrow. That is not the case. Every person faces this, and we have to help others also. We have to console others also, and we have to accept this as the will of God and do our responsibilities, help others and ourselves, and live the life happily which God has granted us till the day He calls us back. So this is the only way we can be happy, by accepting everything as God's will. I hope that this lesson was clear to you. In case if you have any doubt or any query, do let me know. God bless you. Love your parents. Stay home and stay safe.